Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Affirmation Addict podcast. Today, I'm going to be just doing a deep dive as to what is going on in the world energetically, what that means for you, and just how to cope and how to navigate through it and what lessons to take away from it. Because I know we are going through some really interesting, different, and kind of crazy times. And so I wanted to offer you my support because it's taken me some time to process. And so I finally want to share what I've processed and made of it and come to terms with. You're listening to the Affirmation Addict podcast with Payal Agarwal. This podcast will teach you about the power of affirmations while making manifestation easy and accessible for you in order to enhance your spiritual consciousness. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm so excited to dive into today's episode. Actually, wait, before we get started, I wanted to check with you. Have you heard about my new app? It's called Affirm-It, and it's your one-stop shop for all things affirmations, manifestation, and self-healing. I really have been wanting to create something for you that truly empowers you to realize that you genuinely have everything you need within you. You don't need me. You don't need any other coaches. This app genuinely has everything you need to get that life that you've been trying to manifest. And it has gentle daily reminders, guided audio affirmations, sleep affirmations, affirmation reminders, and so much more good information, good energy, and so many things that I know will help you manifest your dreams. Because I'm so grateful for you, I'm actually offering you a free 7-day trial. And this is a genuine 7-day trial. That means you don't have to type in your credit card. You won't be automatically charged. There's no ads, and you get complete access to the app as if you've already subscribed to it. So if you do want to learn more about the app, head over to affirmation-addict.com/app, or if you're ready to dive in, head over to the iTunes App Store and search for Affirm-It. The Android version will be coming soon, and as soon as it's ready, I'll be sure to let you know. Now we can officially dive into today's episode. Hi, everyone. So it has been a little while until I've created a podcast episode, and that was because I didn't know how to speak up over the last few weeks, over the last month. I just really was taken aback. I was energetically drained. I was processing and healing. And so I took a month off from podcasting. I was still on social media. I was still doing Align Your Mind, but I was taking that time for myself in order to understand how I can show up and speak up in the best way possible. And I wanted to give you a precursor and a super transparent answer that I am not going to be addressing or diving deep into every single topic that's going on in our world. I really just wanted to talk about the paradigm shift and the energy and what to do with all of these changes rather than going into what's going on. Everybody is aware of what's going on, and I don't think it's my place to speak about it unless you guys need me to. So I'm going to just wanted to let you know I'm not going to be covering exactly specific topics. I'm more so going to be talking about the energetic shifts that we're experiencing and how to handle them, cope with them, and what I did to help myself heal and do some of the inner work I really needed to do. So 2020, let's just reflect. And I'm not sure if you heard my episode where I talked about, this was before 2020 or the first week of 2020, that I had a feeling, and so many other people had a feeling, this was going to be a major year of breakthroughs, paradigm shifts, and I 100% think that is so true to this day, and I think that means that the entire world is really shifting right now. And so just to give a couple of examples, that we are going through a major pandemic, we're going through a political movement in the US, there's crises in the international world. There are so many different things going on, and I know that this news can feel really negative a lot of the time. And so firstly, I wanted to address just media and consumption. One thing that I've been doing during this time is to watch my media, watch my consumption, and watch the way I absorb information, because when you consume on social media, you consume during news channels or news outlets, a lot of the time people are pushing their own beliefs. It's not unbiased or unfiltered news. It's news to try and prove a point. And so that's why I have actually always laid low on the news. I've always stepped back a little bit because it's never felt like it served me well. And I wanted to offer that to you, that during this time, if the news doesn't feel good to you, if scrolling through social media doesn't feel good to you, give yourself the space to say no. Give yourself the space to take a step back and maybe just tune in. A lot of the times when big things are going on in the world and everybody's posting about it, we feel obligated to read about it, learn about it, and learn the way people are learning, which I think is beautiful, and I think it's so important to learn. However, I think there's a really strong way and a very courageous way of learning, which is also doing your own research, and not only online or on Google or however you want to do it, but honestly internally. Because to me, and I know some people might disagree with this, but to me, the law of attraction and our minds are always on. And to kind of understand why this is happening in the world. Why are we going through a pandemic? Why are we going through such revolutions and changes and historical movements? Why is all this happening right now? I really, really believe that this is because as a collective, we're really shifting and we're breaking old habits. We are unlearning old things that don't serve us, and we're just stepping into a new way of life. And it might not look that different physically, but I think this quarantine and everything going on gave so many people an opportunity to introspect. And to me, and the most powerful thing is, no matter what 2020 event you're looking at, I think every single event has given people the option to look at their beliefs in a different way. And that's what I really wanted to talk about today, because I think it's so powerful, and it's something I've said from the very beginning, that our job, especially when reprogramming our mind, especially when we're trying to manifest things, everything we're experiencing is based off of our beliefs, right? So if we don't like what we're experiencing, how can we shift those beliefs? It's about unlearning and relearning. So whether this is in regards to the health crisis, this is in regards to the political movement, this is in regards to so many other things going on, I really, really think that it's a beautiful way for everybody to, whichever topic you feel drawn to, whichever topic triggers you and you want to learn more about, or maybe you're really resistant towards it, I challenge you to dive deeper. I challenge you to question your beliefs. I challenge you to go deep and look inside of what's going on, because that is where the shifts are going to happen. And I really think at least one point in 2020, every single person has been challenged to question their own beliefs, to challenge what they believe is true. And I really think, to me, that is what this year has been all about, is teaching people how to question their own beliefs. When I used to say this, even just 6 months ago or 8 months ago, that was really hard for a lot of us to process. How do I change my beliefs? How do I challenge? How do I reprogram? But I think moment after moment, 2020 is forcing us and every single person to do this on some level. And I think that's making us do it by stepping out of our comfort zones, putting us in situations we've never been in before, so we can adapt and learn and figure out new ways. I think it's a really beautiful way of shifting, because sometimes as a collective, as a planet of humanity of 7-8 billion people, we need major shifts like this to understand, to reprogram, and to have a mass awakening. So I know I kind of sound like I'm talking on this big scale, but I really want you to think about it. If you think about what's going on right now, whether you are in India or the US or Australia or the UK, there's something going on in every single country all the time, right? This is always there, but why is it this year that things going on in our countries are so much more magnetic? Everyone knows about it. Everyone is reacting and trying to be involved. It's beautiful, I think. I think it's a really beautiful way of people coming together, but I think it's really forcing so many of us to question, to challenge, to unlearn, to reprogram. You guys are doing that work already. and you probably don't even realize it. So with this episode, I wanted to tell you a couple of things I have been doing on my own that I haven't been sharing about in order to just process this year, in order to process this energy, because for the past few weeks, I have been feeling such a drained and heavy energy on me. And even before recording this podcast, I really struggled to get on here. And I wanted to acknowledge that because I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure you guys are feeling that energy. And don't be sad about it. Don't be upset. It's totally okay. And there's ways to deal with it. And the first way to deal with it, honestly, is to just allow it. Accept it. Don't reject it. Don't try and push the negative energy away. Just let it be and say, okay, what are you trying to teach me? How can I learn from you? And I think it's a beautiful way to develop a relationship with challenge and discomfort, because if you're always comfortable, you're never going to grow. This year is the year of discomfort. This year is the year of pushing you to your edge until you can't handle it anymore. And I think it sucks, honestly, when you're living in it. I think it's hard. I think it's frustrating. But I also think it's so transformative on so many levels. So whatever you are going through, if you're feeling heavy right now, I'm going to share a couple of journaling techniques that I've been doing to help me process. And so the first thing I've been doing that's really, really helped me is just allowing and asking my energy, what are you trying to teach me? If I'm not feeling my best, if I'm feeling tired, the first thing I've been doing is saying, hey, what do you want to teach me? How can I learn from you? Where do I need to grow? That's the first thing I'm doing. And sometimes I just ask myself and let the answers come to me. It's okay if it doesn't come to you right away. The second thing I've been doing is I've been sitting with a journal, and anything that doesn't align with me, whether it's on a personal level or it's on a world level, I have been writing it down and asking myself, where are my beliefs and how do my beliefs on this topic impact what's going on? Because our thoughts and our beliefs are all vibrating, and so they're all constantly impacting everything that's going on. So I took a self-reflection moment and said, okay, so coronavirus, right? That is something we're all dealing with. So what are my thoughts on health? What are my thoughts on viruses? And how am I projecting or not projecting onto that? Where am I contributing or not contributing? Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, how am I part of this? Because if I'm experiencing it at some point, I am part of it. And so if it's in your awareness, if it's in your reality, whether you've seen it on the news, at one point you have had a part to contribute to it, and not in a bad way, just energetically, that's the way it works. So I really recommend going through different topics, whether it's personally or on a global scale, and ask yourself, how am I contributing to this? What beliefs do I have around this? And what beliefs do I not want to keep anymore? And the process of releasing and rewiring your beliefs is a lot simpler than a lot of us think. It's honestly just as simple as understanding your story and reframing it. I have guides in my app and in all my courses to help you literally step-by-step reprogram. And I'm not going to dive into that today. But when you understand that your beliefs are just thoughts you've heard over and over and over again, they feel a lot less heavy. They feel a lot less like stuck to you. You're allowed to change your beliefs. You're allowed to change the way you think. And this goes for everything. And I'm so excited to finally talk about this in such a relatable way for so many of us, because I really think this is the core work when you are trying to manifest, when you are trying to take a quantum leap, when you are trying to get to your next level. I think the core of it is being willing to change your beliefs, being willing to let go of things you've thought were true for so long, and now you're choosing a new truth. I think that's the deepest work we can all do in any area of our life. And so the fact that so many of us are being pushed and challenged and made uncomfortable to do this work, I think is a really beautiful way to help you cope through it, as well as change your mind. The third thing I've been doing is I have been really controlling where I put my attention to. And this is kind of what I talked about earlier with social media, with everything that's going on. I think it's so easy to get caught up in social media, having conversations, but I think it's important to have those conversations. Please don't get me wrong in that way. But I also really think is, how is this conversation feeling to me? Is it uplifting me? Is it energizing me? Do I feel like I'm making a difference? Or is it kind of draining me right now? And give yourself the opportunity to say no, because it's okay in some moments for you to take a step back and be a little bit quiet, for you to step back and do things offline. I think there's a misconception that if it's not on social media, it's not true. And so get yourself out of that habit of being influenced by maybe even me, maybe other influencers or people or friends, and let yourself know that the work you're doing is more than enough, no matter how you're doing it. Your pure intention is felt by the universe, and your life experience is on you. And so don't get sucked into the pressure and social pressures and judgments. Don't get sucked into all of that. Really manage your energy. And so what I did to manage my energy was I spent less time consuming on social media because it was bombarding, whether it was about COVID, whether it was about different world crises, whether it was about the Black Lives Matter movement in the US. Like, there was a lot of energy, and I couldn't handle it. So I had to consume less, not because I was avoiding it, but because I just couldn't handle it and I needed to process it in my own way. So I wanted to share with you that you can process in your own way. It took me 3 to 4 weeks to process all of this and be able to formulate my thoughts and do the inner work and have a better way of understanding and a better way of contributing. But I really want you to understand your way is more than okay. Don't let other people tell you that you're not doing good enough. Don't let other people shame you. Don't let other people pressure you. I want you to really stand true to yourself. Stay true to you and do this in your own way. Let your body take the rest it needs. Let your mind consume other things, maybe things that have nothing to do with what's going on in our world, and just affirmations because they make you feel good, or just cute videos of dogs because it makes you smile. That's fine. Sometimes we need that, and that's okay. That's the third thing I've been up to. And the fourth thing I really wanted to talk about was just giving myself the credit to be, giving myself the credit to rest, giving myself the credit to just do what feels good. I think in these times, everybody becomes an expert. Everybody's trying to help, which I think is beautiful. I fall into that category too. But just remember, trust your own intuition. Trust you, because in the end, you know what's best for you on a personal level and on a global scale with how you participate as a global citizen. I give you permission, if you've been looking for it, to work and navigate through these times in the way that feels best for you, because you're allowed to. And lastly, number 5 is being really, really cautious about the conversations I'm having and the way I'm talking about my life and the way I'm talking about this year. I think it's so easy to say 2020 has been a whirlwind. Oh my gosh, I wish it was 2019. 2020 sucked. It's so easy to say that stuff, especially when you see all those memes on social media. But just remember, you are still creating your reality. Don't forget to give the gratitude. You're still here. You're still breathing. Don't forget, every single word you're speaking is creating your future. If you don't want it, don't talk about it as if you want it. Make sure you talk about the things you want, and rather than focusing on what you don't want, make sure you're really being mindful of the way you're navigating your conversations, the things you're talking about, the TV you're watching. There's so much to be mindful of. And if you're educating yourself, do it. It's important. I'm not saying just turn off the news, don't read about what's going on. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when you've reached a kind of tipping point, give yourself the acknowledgement, give yourself permission to just pause. You're allowed to pause because you are creating your reality. And I invite you to embrace this. And I invite you to find the joy in it. And the last thing, more of an affirmation that's been really helping me through this time, is I'm allowed to feel joy without feeling guilt. Because I think right now, it's so easy to recognize that there's a lot going on in our world, but to be honest, when is there not? There's so much going on in our world all the time. I know this from when Tom was in the military. There was really, really horrific civil wars going on in the Middle East and wherever he was stationed. There was sad stuff all the time. There's natural disasters happening. There's so much going on in our world that can be sad, but that doesn't mean I have to be sad. I can still choose to be happy and help those situations energetically, financially, through spreading awareness, I can help those situations, but I don't have to feel sad to help those situations. I think that's a really big misconception. And so I want to invite you to feel joy without feeling guilt, even though we're going through a crazy transformative year, even though people may be struggling, even though there's a lot of things changing. Change doesn't mean a bad thing. Change is a really beautiful thing sometimes too. And so be open to it and allow yourself to feel okay and find joy in the little things. And find beauty in just the trees are still moving, the sky is still blue. Find that joy, find what keeps you going forward in that way, because you don't have to feel sad because the whole world is sad. I invite you to stay strong in your joy, in your gratitude, and just live that forward. And so this was a completely unplanned talk. I just really wanted to share how I've processed everything that's going on. And I have so much more to say, but I don't want to say it yet unless people ask me about it. So if you do want me to talk more about what's going on specifically in the world, I'm happy to do so. Please let me know, and I'm happy to address different things. But I wanted to just give you a little bit of a glimpse as to what I've been doing on my own to help me heal, navigate, and monitor through all of this, because it's a lot to process. And so I hope these 5 tips and that affirmation really help you navigate through what's going on in our world. And just remember, it can be a beautiful thing. Change is scary, change is crazy, but it can also be beautiful. And so be open to that. And how can you find beauty in all the changes and discomfort and reprogramming we're all doing as a collective? That has been what I've been working on, and it's been a really beautiful process. And so I love you guys. And for all of you who asked me where I've been on my podcast, I'm so glad that this podcast is something you guys keep a part of your weekly routine. I will be back on schedule, and I just wanted to let you know I love you. I'm always here for you, and I notice and acknowledge all the work you guys are doing offline, online. I see you, and I just wanted to give you that credit because you really deserve it. And I know you're all working hard, putting in a lot of energy to yourself and the world. And so thank you for being you, and thank you for being here. I love you guys. Mwah. Bye. So, how did you like today's episode? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed recording it. And before you leave, I wanted to just say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending some time with me. If this episode or any of my content has ever inspired you, it would mean the absolute world to me if you could leave a review in the iTunes podcast app and just share this with someone you care about. The more you guys leave reviews and share this with people, the more I am able to create more content for you, and that's what fuels me and keeps me going. I am so genuinely grateful for the time we shared today, and until next time, I'm sending you lots of love and lots of healing energy. Bye!